this chance to do this amazing book launch tonight. And we welcome you all. Brad sends his very best. He's supposed to be here, but he's usually 15 minutes late, so we had to start the show. But we want to thank Prime 47 for helping support us tonight.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this guy later, one of the co-authors of the book. I know he doesn't care, he's talking when I talk, that's kind of how it works. But about 20 years ago, we had this idea of starting a not-for-profit that could support young people that could not afford to participate in the Brainware Safari program. In those days, it was fledgling, very young, but through my involvement over the years in not-for-profit leadership in various organizations, it just seemed to make sense. And so over the years, we have stand ready to help where we can. We've helped children in IPS, we've helped children in Chicago Public Schools, we've provided grants to help instructors extend their professional skill. So the Institute for Learning Dynamics, ILD, is your host tonight, and we are thankful to do it. Two of our board members are here tonight. Our Vice President, Betsy Hill, is here. You know her from her later. And the newest member of our board, Trish Whitcomb, is here tonight. One of the things I asked one of my sons and my big little brother, I figured I'd get the two biggest guys in the house to hand out these cards, okay? And at least you'll remember what you got. Over the years, and I know that there are several other very, very important not-for-profits that are here tonight and represented here this evening. But over the years, I've had the privilege to get to know Jay Hite and the good work that he does on the near east side of the city. And yes, he's a tireless worker, tremendous work in the community. So over the years, my wife, Chris Bone, Val, who's back here, there she is. And I'll get where's my son? There's Jack, who handed out one of my youngest son, and Max, who's over here. My middle son was working the registration table, so he's still at his post. And Hannah Cease, his sweet, beautiful, blonde significant. But it's great to have family. A lot of our kids are here, and kid, as my father-in-law says, kid wannabes. So. But we are very thankful and blessed to have this be a family affair. And one of the things that Chris and I have over the years, we've been very supportive of Shepherd. And so tonight you will see that there's a card here, and it's very simple. It's high-tech, everybody. High-tech. It's got a QR code on it. And what we'd like to do, and all we're going to ask, it's not a hard pitch, but I will tell you, for $250, we can change the life of a young person here in the city of Indianapolis through Brainware Safari. And believe me, this is a Roger Stark, hometown East Side guy, and grew up, lived many years close to where Shepherd's at. We said, what is one thing we can do to go back to the neighborhood? And so tonight, for $250 or whatever you can do, $250 will get a young person at Shepherd Academy into the Brainware Safari program. So take this as you lead, or as you think about things. Support us, we would appreciate it. So with that, before I pass the microphone off, there are several distinguished people here that are with us tonight. A former state senator, Billy Rowe. So Billy, thank you very much. And current state senator, Gene Rowe. Gene, thank you. And a new member of the Indiana House of Representatives, Craig Hackett. Craig, thank you for being here tonight. And then also representing her husband, who is the president of the City County Council, I would say. So thank you very much. Oh, okay. What did I do wrong? I didn't know. And Becky Cash is with us tonight from the City of Zionsville. Here's always one. So I'm sorry. Sorry, Becky. Nice to see you. Now I'd like to pass the microphone to a lady that comes from an absolutely amazing family. Her father was the governor of the state of Indiana. And But more importantly, this lady has dedicated herself to the betterment of children, to education in the state of Indiana. And she now is our state director for brainware learning. I'm going to ask Trish Whitcomb to come up and say some words.
Thank you very much. One of the things that you probably know is, in politics, but what you probably don't know is our family has been in public education for over a century. Yeah. And so that set me on my path. I went to Butler for undergraduate. I was a special ed teacher. I won't give you my whole biography, but I do want to tell you that when I was at the Indiana Department of Education, I had the good fortune of meeting Roger Stark and Betsy Hill. And I just hit it off with these guys. And Roger is a tech graduate, and if you don't mind my saying, from a single mother household, and he's taken everything and paid it forward. And I just want to say that. Anyway, back to me. The reason I want to tell you a little bit about myself is because I want you to know how dedicated I am to the things that are happening with this book and with what we do at Brainware. Excuse me. At Butler University, we have a graduate program in applied neuroscience and education. Sounds real geeky. It is. It's all about how the brain is where you learn. And we are talking about the science of learning. So the opportunity you have tonight with this book, and it's very, despite how nerdy the study of neuroscience and education can be, this is a very good book to read, and it will tell you that there is hope for children who learn differently. And so that's what we're all about. We're working in partnership. Is Andy still here?
He had to leave.
Had to leave. We're working with the education service centers here in Indiana to provide, excuse me, brainware. What Mark didn't say is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, Betsy, because I think it's very important. We have a very robust private clientele for parents who can pay between $3,500 and $7,000 for brainware. Roger has picked, with Betsy's okay, Indiana to bring this to public schools and nonprofits at a infinitesimally lower cost. And so that's what we're all about. We're going to try to get as many kids as we can. And we have two people here tonight, Tom Hughes and Chris Winchell. If you guys would come up here now. Tom Hughes is with the STEM Junior High in Kokomo. Oh, there you are. and Chris Winchell is the superintendent of John Glenn School Corporation in Walkerton, Indiana. They are going to tell you about their experiences of using brainware with their students, and then we're going to turn it back to Mark. So, Tom, if you'd go first. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. My name is Tom Hughes, principal at Midcrest Middle School in Kokomo, and we are a inner city school, about 80-85% free and reduced lunch. We are not the international baccalaureate school in our area, so we get the kids who are not international baccalaureate. So what that means is we continue every August to have a group of kids show up who are significantly behind. And on average, I have about 50-60% of my kids who are 2, 3, 4 grades behind where they're supposed to when they get to be in 6th grade. And so I was tasked when I took over about 6 years ago with finding a way to improve that. And so these are kids who have been in public schools, who have had teachers working tirelessly with every resource available to get them to learn, and over half of them are behind significantly from where they're supposed to be when they get to me. And so I was a former science teacher, taught for 8 years middle school science in Lafayette, and when I took over as an administrator, I said, I'm going to find something that works. And so I conducted my own little science experiment. I reached out to every ed tech company, every program, anything that I could find that was going to help kids. And I started systematically, one by one, going through them. I parcel off 20 kids, and I do my own little science experiment. We look at the formative data, see what happens. Everything helps kids learn. Every kid gets smarter as they stay in school, just not smart enough, fast enough. Because they show up and they're 3 grades behind where they're supposed to be. I got to catch them up in the 3 years I'm with me. That means they got to learn 2 years every year that they're with me, and have any chance to get caught back up by the time they get to high school. And so one of the things that absolutely just blew me away with Brainware is so different. It is not public education. Public education is what more can teachers do? Who can we blame for these shortcomings? What curriculum, what rigor, what content, what formative assessment, all these things that we can do, and never once have we looked at the kid. We assumed that that was a stagnant resource, that the kid showed up in August is the kid that showed up in August. Brainware flips that around and says, hey, what if that kid that showed up in August didn't have to be the kid that left you in May? If I'm a football coach at the Indianapolis Colts, I don't say the guy that I drafted is going to be the same guy that's on my team. I got a strength coach, I got a fitness coach, I got all these coaches that are going to make them a better athlete, a better mental. They're going to watch film, they're going to digest, they're going to go through everything that goes through it. It's not about just who they were when they showed up. It's everything. It's not about the coach and the plays and what more can the coach do. I got to help the player. Why don't we think about that in school? And I said, oh, shoot, let's do that. Let's make that player stronger while I help my coaches coach, my teachers teach. And that's why we continue to see it. And that's why since 2019, I did have the opportunity in 2019 to talk at the State Superintendent's Conference. But we have continued to implement it in our building. And, we've doubled our pass rate as a building. It's still not where we're supposed to be, but in 4 years, we've doubled our pass rate. And every year I have new kids that show up. I've got new recruits in my football team that need some strength coaching. They need some mental capacity building so that my curriculum and my teachers can teach. So thank you for supporting Brainware and helping kids learn.
Thank you so much. My name's Chris Winchell. I have my lovely wife, Emily, with me. Thank you, Roger, for including us, inviting us here tonight for this really exciting book reveal. We really appreciate that. And just a little bit of my background. I'm a middle school math teacher by trade, worked my way into administration, spent a decade as a high school assistant principal. So there was some hard time there, playing assistant principal there all those years. And then I've been fortunate enough to become the superintendent at Union County College Corner School District is where I started, and now back where I was a middle school math teacher at John Glenn. So very proud of that work, and I appreciate what was shared earlier, because similar to him, I was tasked when I came back to John Glenn with this general notion of, we've got a really good school district here, something's odd with our data at the middle school. And being an old teacher in that building, that was very near and dear to my heart. And so as I was preparing to come back to John Glenn and tackle that middle school unique blimp of data, I heard a presentation from my colleague, and it was my first chance of leading the Brainware team, and I was looking for something that was different. I have a very deep background in school improvement as well. All those years at that high school, we're now recognized as one of the greatest high schools in the state. We most recently earned a 100% graduation rate.
And comprehend what they read. That's even more important.
It's very important, Roger, and I share that to say that was 15 years of culminated work. It can't be done overnight. But what I was looking for was something different for our middle school, because we had tried everything else that was a tried and true school improvement plan, similar to my colleague. And what was interesting to me about Brainware is, as a math teacher, I used to tell my students, math is like weightlifting for the brain. You have to exercise your brain through this algebra class, through this calculus class. Well, what happens when a kid though gets to you and their brain is so weak? that they can't exercise at that grade level that you're at. And that's what is so unique about Brainware, is it's a cognitive exercise workout for a child's brain. And we are often tasked with taking students who are well below grade level, and if we can grow them one grade level in a year, that's really a success. That's our goal. But we often need multiple years of growth in a single year to get the child back to grade level. And Brainware is a very unique opportunity for kids to build brain muscle and really see more than 1 year of growth in a school year. And so we started off with kind of our most challenged kids, our most at-risk kids, and what we saw was that 90% of that most at-risk group had significant growth. They may not have made it all the way to grade level in 1 year, but they certainly showed significant signs of growth. We also had implemented other new and improved, if you will, school improvement strategies, and we really worked on the culture of the school. We really worked on getting kids involved. But what we really felt like we saw was that those kids who were involved in Brainware, maybe some of them were the disenfranchised. We saw those kids get more and more involved. We saw those kids develop some unique coping skills that maybe they hadn't had previously. We saw those kids develop some self-esteem, and you know the importance of self-esteem at that middle school grade level, at that adolescent brain development level, and we really just saw greater growth in those challenged kids who had experienced the Brainware than we had seen with other strategies. So now we've actually expanded it to a whole grade level at the middle school, and we're also even trying it out in a scientific method, as my colleague noted, at different grade levels. So we think there may even be more significant power in this product using it at even earlier grades than we've used it. So forgive me, Roger told me I had 2 minutes. I told him I can't even say hello in 2 minutes. So I apologize for going a little longer, but you know, I really am passionate personally about school improvement. I'm so proud to stand here and say that the system at John Glenn worked. In a 15-year effort, we had 100% of our kids graduate. So our methods work. We're not just grabbing some fly-by-night program, and we're investing in Brainware. And so I really give it my stamp of approval, and I applaud the efforts to look into the brain research, because it's really been a missing piece of our educational pedagogy. Thank you very much.
We got folks out here that want to come on in. You can all come on in. It's got a few seats that are here. We got some food, but we'll transition in. Good. Welcome all. Thank you for coming. Take a seat. I appreciate those words. I've known Roger Stark since 1989, and yeah, somebody clapped for that. Oh, that wasn't bad. Somebody say congratulations to you for knowing since '89. But I met the guy. He was in strategic marketing, communications, done a lot of things, and a few years later, this notion of cognitive development, when people couldn't spell cognitive. I know. You're not, this isn't your 70th birthday party. That's Bill Thompson, everybody, just in case you didn't hear the voice. The voice, Bill Thompson, everybody. Hey, I do want to recognize Bill Thompson, because I know, Bill, thank you so much. Many people that are here tonight are because of your efforts, and so thank you. The guy's a true mentor and a friend of mine, and I'm blessed to know Bill Thompson, as so many are in this room. But I watched this cognitive space grow, and I saw Roger have a number of folks that came and helped build the company and move it from paper to digital and moved it to many levels. But over the last decade plus, how many years? Doesn't matter. You never ask a woman how many years, so. But I know this, Betsy Hill has made the difference. The vision and the energy, but the steadfastness, the compassion, the kick in the butt every time, some guys need. But I will tell you this much. A lady that has come through extraordinary life experiences in amazing ways decided a few years ago to say, you know what? I'm just going to drop my stake in the ground and do something to help kids, help society, help learning. It's not just kids, it's workforce development. It's a wide variety of things that makes me passionate about it, that makes me so proud to introduce this next wonderful lady, Betsy Hill, to come up. The President and CEO of the
So the wonderful thing about writing this book was that it took us back through many of the experiences that we've had working with kids and families, and just all of the stories in here are true. And this book is full of starfish. Now, you probably all have heard the starfish story. So there's a kid walking on the beach, and he picks up a starfish and he throws it back into the ocean. And there's an older gentleman who says, you can't save all of them. He says, I know, but I saved that one. And so these are all the starfish, one by one. And sometimes we get to have buckets of starfish, and we get to work with Tom and with Chris Winchell and their teams. And groups of them. But this is really trying to share much more broadly, because I want to save starfish and all those kids out there and help them learn. There's so many that struggle. Tom talked about how far they are behind. 35% only of our students are performing proficiently at grade level in this country, and that's just not okay. As a mom of 3 boys, that would not be okay. And it isn't okay for parents, and it's not okay for kids. And so hopefully this is just an opportunity to share some of the amazing stories that we've gathered and the amazing people that we've had a chance to work with. And all these little starfish shining brightly in the ocean and hopefully gonna lead us forward because they're the future.
Thanks. So not very often does a guy get to introduce his best buddy, but also a guy that I'm so proud of for dropping his stake in the ground and saying, we're going to do this thing. And he's persevered when some people have probably said he was crazy, it ain't going to happen, and he got no chance. I think this book, with the help of Betsy Hill and the good Lord above, is proof. Guess what? It's real. And the work that can be done to help families and children and parents find hope. Because today it's about hope, right? We know that we're in some of the most difficult times in our entire life. And bringing hope to families through ways to help outside what the system says is the right way to do it. We don't know what we don't know in some cases. In this case, though, what we do know is that our mind is an amazing gift God has given us. And so the fact that Roger Stark had that vision, dropped the stake in the ground and said, I'm just going to hang on to that stake. And so tonight we get to be here because a man that put everything he had on the line to do it. And well, I'm proud of Roger Stark, my brother. Come on.
I'm delighted to be here. We're always looking for a beacon of hope. This book that they talked about, it's a book of hope. It's a book of aspirations. It's a book of inspiration. It's for every family that's ever seen a child that loves them. maybe did things a little differently. And it just didn't fall in line with the mold that we think teacher-child mold should be. And we're here to tell you that just because you have a diagnosis or you have a negative experience, there is hope. There is hope. And that's what this book's about. It's for parents, teachers, and grandparents. And you know, when you think of, I'm a picture poster child of a failure child. When you look at failure of child, when you look at what the prison organizations look at, you look at a lot of things. I should have never been here today. I come from a single mother. My mother was a coal miner's daughter. She lived in a coal mine when she was young. My mother was a social activist. I went to Tech High School. I've been stabbed twice, I've been shot once. My mother worked for a factory for $1 a week. I started working at 9 years old carrying newspapers. I ended up having 4 newspapers by the time I was 12, boys working for me. Because these guys didn't care about taking care of the customer. I put the Indianapolis Times out of business on Rural Street. When I started the Indianapolis News, they had 82 customers. The Times had 82 customers. I had 12. When I was done, he was out of business. He took every customer. So I shouldn't have been there. But the point being is, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Now, I was fortunate. Cognitively, things worked for me. I did really well academically in school. I got a scholarship to college. So I was blessed in that regard. And I had a lot of love in my home. A lot of homes don't have love. But what this is about today is understanding we believe that the most underutilized asset in the learning and teaching process is the student. Yes, we as individuals all have the capacity to learn. So human beings do. We learn, right? But our capacity for learning is shaped by our environment, by our genetics, by our life experiences. That's what shapes who we are. But I got great news for everybody. That does not have to define you. For each of you are the CEO of you, Inc. And I tell that to every child. I tell that to every struggling parent. And because you are the CEO of you, Inc., if you want different, you can have different. But you gotta be different. Betsy talked less than a third of our children performing proficiently at grade level. Those that are economists in this room, I know there's one right over there. We could not survive. We talk about Russia, we talk about China. Forget it. We're not going to survive. If you read a student of history, the Ottoman Empire, whatever empire you want to look at, we're following every chapter and verse to destroy ourselves. And at 30% proficiency, we can't survive. We're talking here in the next 10, 20 years, about $230 trillion worth of debt. $5 trillion a year to service our debt. That's not going to work. But our children. God did not make any junk. Let me be clear. God did not make junk. He didn't start with any child you ever met, or any child you ever will be. There's a special kind of child in each individual trying to find their way to step into their best selves. The reason I'm on this stage today is because people like you, because you're here today because you care. You care. And there were people before you, and you're probably your parents that cared. And they invested in guys like me. I got Kiwanis here. I've been looking to tell Kiwanis my story for 50 years. What Key Club did for me. And the meaningful part it played in my life. And traveling and doing the things that I got to do. So what we believe today, all the conversation today is around, you talk about education, it's all around choice. We got an education committee representative here right now. All they talk about is school choice and methodology. Those are good sessions. It's time. We now have to talk about the science of learning. Yeah. The science, it's there, it's real. Anybody ever play baseball in here? Know about baseball? Okay, you can't have a good pitcher. Milt, my good baseball boy, but this other cousin, he's a good friend of mine. Pitcher, you're only so good as the catcher. There's no catcher. The pitcher's not going to do. The catcher decides what the pitcher's supposed to do. He directs the pitcher. They spend an enormous amount of money on both because they know the pitcher and the catcher is important. In the field of everything, everybody here works. Everybody does something here. I guarantee you, wherever you started, there was a training program. You had to learn how to do something. I don't care if you're a genius. You own restaurants, you've been working in every waiter, but when you go to a new restaurant, they got their ways. They got their ways, Mark. You got to train. The only thing we never train, never ever train, is the student. We never prepare the student for learning. We make our Congress, our education over 100 years ago. Everybody look the same, act the same, walk the same, came the same place. All we gotta do is come in. I see that kid, okay, he's got two heads, he's got one head, he's got two arms. All he's gotta do is walk into that classroom, and I just gotta shove my stuff in his head. How's that working for us? 42% of our workforce today is workplace illiterate. They don't possess the skills, utilize the tools to drive productivity. 54% of our workforce today cannot read and comprehend proficiently at a 6th grade level. That's 130 million people. Try to line up today 100 college students and say, write me a grammatically correct letter. Ain't gonna have, first of all, most of them can't write it. I tell parents, you use cursive handwriting and you'll be talking Greek to your kids. So, we just want to encourage each of you to think about this discussion. When you have an opportunity, whether you work in the Senate, whether you look in the House of Representatives, or you have an organization or a not-for-profit, or you're in business, is think about the value of learning. Think about preparing that individual for learning. Give them a chance. You can, and it works. Everything we do is supported by published peer-reviewed research. We got to look at it differently. Let me tell you why it's so important. When you look at cognitive skills, we have to be the world's most research comprehensive, working over 43 skills. It's the best of all the disciplines, work with the brain. People might say, well, education is defined by a great teacher. Great teacher's nice to have. We never want to underestimate the value of a teacher. Well, how about a great curriculum? Gotta have a great curriculum. How about great technology? A lot of money technology. They've got the big lobby money, so they're going to every House of Representatives, and every Senate, and every U.S. Congress. Got to get more money. When that money comes, they say, oh, we're going to spend more money on education. But we're buying more computers, we're buying more laptops, we're buying more smartphones. So they put tags on it. But the reality is, now the money, I love this. Well, a small classroom. Let's give us a small classroom. The reality is, one's ability to learn is driven by over 50% by a student's capacity of his cognitive profile, their cognitive profile. That's what defines over 50%. And right now, legislators, I want you to get this message. I want you to burn this in your chest. You spend less than 5% of your resources on what drives over 50% of the learning outcomes. You spend 5%, and it drives over 50% of the learning outcomes. You spend 75% of our money on issues that drive 25% of the learning outcomes. It doesn't take a mathematical genius to know you're never going to reconstitute that. So I'll leave you with this one thought. Our greatest challenge for discovery and our greatest obstacle for discovery is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. Thank you very much. Please make sure you take a copy of the book. I'm delighted you're here. It means everything to me. It means everything to me.
Thank you all for coming. We have more food. We're here until the last staff member next door is there, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I do want to make sure that you all know that there is an autographed book for each and every one of you. That is your gift for coming tonight, and I hope that you can take it. I had the privilege to edit this book, and I will tell you, it's done extremely well. I mean, because I'm not one of those guys. I figured out a way to have workarounds back in the day when we did. I mean, right? We didn't have programs. We didn't have remediation programs. We didn't have stuff. We just kind of had to figure it out or get an F, right? So this is truth. It's real life stuff. So couldn't be prouder of the work that Betsy and Roger and a whole group of people have done to help make this book possible. But tonight, thank you all for being here. We'll be available. The stars will be available for pictures.
Let's get pictures.
Yes.
But most of all, God bless you. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon. Enjoy the book.